Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. Hey guys, welcome to BTech. Basil here comparing the Huawei Honor 7 versus the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 is the smaller of the two, the 6 and the 6 Plus that is. We can bring a 6 Plus into frame as a size comparison. You can see the 6 Plus and the iPhone kind of sandwich the Honor 7 in the middle. But it's more appropriate to compare the Honor 7 with the 6 based on price. Not to say they're a similar price, but they're a more similar price. £250 for this phone versus a $600-700, whatever you're going to pay for the iPhone 6. But how do they actually measure up against each other? Design-wise, they're very, very different. The iPhone 6 is a lot thinner, it's sleeker, it hasn't really got sides, it's got those round edges. It just feels like a beautifully cohesive package, maybe a little bit slippery, but at the same time so slender, definitely more so than the Honor 7. But the Honor 7 has a secret weapon up its belt. 3,100 milliamp battery versus the 1,800 milliamp cell in the iPhone or thereabouts. So how else do they stack up design-wise? Well, the Honor 7 has a few other tricks up its sleeve. For starters, you have a fingerprint scanner around the back. You've got a fingerprint scanner on the iPhone, sure, and it works beautifully. But one thing that it doesn't do is support gestures like swipe down to get your notifications up, swipe up for multitasking, and long press to get home. One thing that you can do on the iPhone is double tap without pressing all the way to bring the whole UI down for people with smaller hands. So both Huawei and Apple thinking outside the box to just give a really nice, unique customer experience right there. What you also have on the Honor 7 is a quick launch button. This is customizable, so you can launch Facebook with one tap, you can launch Twitter with 2 taps, and you can launch, say, Google Now with a long press. And that's how I've set it, but you could set it if you picked up this phone however you wanted to, with any applications and a few key quick functions. Obviously, the iPhone being an iPhone also has a quick toggle too, so you can silence your phone nice and quickly. The only other real key difference is the fact that you've got the infrared blaster on the Honor 7, which makes it a television remote control. Ultimately, therefore, two really nice standout phones design-wise. They're both metal, they both feel expensive in hand. Yes, the iPhone feels more expensive because it's slender and it still feels solid and metal, but the Honor 7 for that £250, just knocking my socks off. How about the screens? Both IPS panels, both packing high resolutions. You've got a pixel density of 326 or thereabouts on here versus a pixel density of 424. So the Honor 7 is sharper, it's bigger, and it's cheaper. That's a really attractive proposition just right there. It is around as bright as well, maybe not quite as bright. Can whack up the brightness fully. You can see how they throw off the cameras. Definitely head on. The iPhone looks like the brighter of the two panels. Don't know how it's looking on screen right there. That's one thing I will say. I was using the Honor 7 outside earlier, and in bright sunlight, it wasn't quite as bright as I might have liked it to be. But I can't think of any phones off the top of my head in that price range that are going to really perform any better than it. You can also expect 2 different interfaces. You've got iOS, I've got iOS 9 on here, the beta. So the only real differentiator visually that you'll see is the card system when it comes to multitasking compared to iOS 8 and those before it. You also do have a quick search if you drag from a home screen, and that enables a universal search of your phone. From the very top, you can see you've got your notifications and widgets. And if I swipe from the bottom, I can access my quick toggles. That's pretty much it. No real customization beyond that. Obviously though, you can swap out your wallpaper. As for the Huawei Honor 7, borrowed a few things from iOS as our Huawei with their Emotion UI on top of Android Lollipop. Pull down from the middle, for example, and you've got that universal search again. If I was to pull down from the top though, you've got an Android quick toggles and notifications as well. And you can also pinch out to get this hidden applications menu, and that's to compensate for the fact that just like iOS, there is no applications tray on here. Instead, you just have all your applications and widgets strewn on your home screens. Very customizable. You can customize your themes. You can customize these very over-the-top transitions as well, which I actually quite like a little bit. And you can customize your wallpapers as a standard. Other things, real key highlights, that infrared blaster, like I said, so you can control a range of TV remote controls, and Huawei is telling us that the selection is extensive. As far as multimedia goes, 5.2-inch screen versus 4.7-inch screen. So that's going to suggest that just looking at movies on the screen, playing games, etc., you're going to get a more immersive experience on the Huawei Honor 7. The speakers are below on both. We haven't done a sound comparison, but we have listened to the Honor 7 and it is nice and loud. Then again, so too is the iPhone 6. As far as gaming goes, the iPhone 6 is going to have no trouble playing the top-of-the-line games because iOS is so efficient and every iPhone game is optimized for this phone. Think the Honor 7 is going to be knocked out of the park with that one? Think again. You've got a Kirin 935 octa-core processor in here with 3 GB of RAM. This benchmarks as well as the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, which is really good given that pricing. Like I said, £250. In addition, both of these devices are going to get you LTE, although you're probably going to get faster LTE out of the Honor 7, up to Cat 6 if you're with EE in the UK in certain regions. Outside the UK, I think it can even go up to Cat 9, which is awesome. Battery's the only real other thing to dwell on in this quick comparison, and it's a 3100 milliamp battery, like I said earlier, compared to an 1800 or thereabouts milliamp battery, which definitely explains the thickness difference. Ultimately, Huawei's knocking it out of the park with that Honor brand, and the Honor 7 is no exception, at least on paper and at least on first impression. One thing I haven't talked about actually is the camera, and while I haven't really tested them out side by side, so I can't go into too much detail, I can give you a run through. 8 megapixel front camera with a flash. That's a soft light, so what it's going to do is it's just going to blend down your features on your face, make you look a little bit less wrinkled and haggard. And you've also got a rear 20 megapixel camera. That's versus a low resolution, I think it's 1 or 2 megapixel front camera versus an 8 megapixel rear camera. Both of them have dual tone lenses. And what's really great about the iPhone camera is the fact you can record awesome slow-mo video, up to 240 frames per second at 720p, and you can do time-lapse on both of these. What's awesome about the Huawei Honor 7 is that you can get up to 30-second shutter speeds on here. Really beautiful and slow for perfect light trails. And in addition to that, this is the ultimate selfie phone, or at least that's what Huawei is going to have you believe. If you take enough selfies on here, it'll get to know your face, get to know how you smooth your face out, and then if you take standard group shots with you in it, it will detect your face and make you look even prettier. It's a bit too much for me personally, but I can definitely say that's something that the iPhone does not have. Hopefully you found this whole comparison useful. If you did, then make sure you click that like button. If you've got any questions about the iPhone 6, 6 Plus or the Honor 7, fire them in the comments section below. And if you like, please subscribe to the channel. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything we do. Thanks for watching. The Sony Xperia Z4. I wasn't even that annoyed when I heard it wouldn't be called the Z4 here in the UK. It's the Z3 Plus. The Plus seemed a little bit more appropriate. After all, it's a very similar device to its predecessor. It looks very similar, it has a waterproof body, lots of cores, 3 GB of RAM, a 5.2-inch Full HD display. Sony Xperia Z3 Plus, pretty appropriate name. So what is new? It's a thinner phone with less flaps, more memory, and a new processor. That sounds great, right? Well, it should be great, and it's great for the most part, but there are some major shortcomings. We're going to start off with the design, and fortunately this is one area that Sony builds upon its successes. I love the Z3. Classical, sleek, pretty timeless. The Z3 Plus is better. Well, it's thinner